What is up, everyone? Welcome to Just Offside, the weekly MLS show where we take your comments and talk about them. My name's Allan.
I'm King Ghidorah.
Let's jump right into it this week, B. Let's start covering some of last week's comments. We're going to start off with You Enjoy is their username. They said, Real Salt Lake are tearing it up right now. The 6-2 victory against the Galaxy was the best game I had been to since the MLS Cup in 2013. Vela's finish in stoppage time was unbelievable. So, yeah, You Enjoy is talking about, obviously, Real Salt Lake beating LA Galaxy 6-2, which was a freaking crazy game, kind of unexpected scoreline.
And him being at the game,
yeah,
too. He said it's best game he's been to since 2013. It's like, that's a memorable game for that dude.
Yeah, no, I mean, watching it on TV, obviously exciting, but being there and be able to see that is a whole nother experience. Super cool. You Enjoy. That's awesome. We love to hear feedback from people that actually go to the games and get firsthand experience of it. So, shout out to you. And next comment we're going to be covering is from Kaimana Baker. He said, an ad for this video popped up. Glad it did. This is entertaining as I love the MLS. MNUFC is my team. Hopefully will improve in future years. So first of all, Kaimana Baker, thank you for subscribing and liking the video. Really appreciate the love. And yeah, Kaimana, I mean, Minnesota definitely could be doing better, but every team goes through highs and lows. On the positive side, there's probably more room to go up than to go down. So keep your head up, man. We're with you. We've all been there.
Our hearts go out to you.
Yeah, and for sure, just keep supporting, keep showing the love. We appreciate it. And moving on, Ryan Walker left a comment. Rod Fanny is the best player in the MLS. No one else comes close. That's a pretty bold statement.
That is a bold
I feel like
statement.
there are a lot of really good players in the MLS, and you're saying that.
You know, sometimes we're offsides, but I don't know. That might be a little bit offsides. But we hear you. We appreciate your comment. We love hearing that who your favorite player is. It's always nice to know that.
Yeah, Ryan, we would love to know why you think he's the best player. I mean, I think people could make arguments for a lot of players in the MLS, but we definitely want to hear your thoughts. Let us know in the comments below.
So I wouldn't agree maybe that he's the best player, but by far the best name in MLS.
And finally, Brad Jr. 10, who's been a loyal commentist. We appreciate it, Brad Jr. He says, if DC makes it to the playoffs, think they could be a sleeper and go deep. I think that's a pretty valid pick. They've put out some really good performances this season so far, especially with Ray Rooney playing the way he's playing. So I think that's a good pick, Brad Jr., and we'll see how they do if they do make it to the playoffs. This next comment comes from David Timmons, who said, I understand the club has implemented a policy to release a duck onto the pitch at a random moment every home match, thereby guaranteeing at least 5 goals. They may experiment with this on the road as well. That's a comment relating to the Real Salt Lake versus Galaxy game where the duck showed up in the first half, and then after that, Real Salt Lake went rampant scoring goals. If this is a real policy, obviously it's a joke, but if it were real, I'm sure a lot of goals would be happening because that duck was special. Yeah, definitely wouldn't be surprised if they started bringing a duck on away games as well.
I'd be down for that, man.
Yeah,
make a tifo with the duck on it.
Yeah, I think
Let's do it.
It definitely it's been proven so far that this duck is scoring them goals. So let's see if it keeps it up.
Keep up the track record.
Yeah, for sure. Comment coming from Ben Riggum. He says, Raul Wright Diaz will definitely fill Dempsey's boots. He has proven himself in Liga MX. I'm sure he will keep improving in Seattle. That is a pretty big claim. Clint Dempsey's boots are big, and they are hard to fill, for sure. But Raul Wright Diaz has been playing pretty well for Seattle, which I'm sure Seattle fans would love seeing. And, yeah, I mean, it's going to take time to really see if he will be able to play as well as Clint Dempsey has over his career.
Yeah, bold comment, but, who knows? Clint Dempsey, great guy.
But anyways, moving on now, we're going to be covering first game of the week that came up was New York City FC versus New England Revolution, a game that happened midweek on Wednesday. New England Revolution actually ended up winning that game, which goes contrary to a lot of the scores that have been going New England's way. A score line that was kind of against the run of play. New England wasn't really playing that amazing for the majority of the game. New York City FC couldn't finish off the chances they had. Are you happy to see New England finally get a win?
Yeah, I am happy to see him get the win. Little change in the back end for New England. Turner's out. Knighton's in. Knighton faced, there were 27 shots, but only 6 were on target, but he was able to keep it for his team, and I'm happy to see, despite it being late season, they're switching it up a bit. See what happens. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely good to see them actually be able to close out a game, and I mean, we've seen them score goals in games previous, but not been able to hold on to the results, get the win. So it's nice to see them kind of do that. And weirdly enough, I mean, New England now is sitting only 3 points behind that sixth place team, which is Montreal Impact. They actually have one game in hand behind them. I think Montreal has 28 games played. New England has 27. New England's, like, the remainder of their schedule is pretty hard. They play a lot of big teams, Atlanta United. They actually end their season playing Montreal Impact, which could be a huge game in the playoff run. But it's kind of crazy to see that regardless of this whole bad run, that New England is still really in the running for the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think it's time to put on our proverbial rally caps and get it going.
For the remainder of the season, if New England can really put up a fight with Montreal, it'll be something to watch, and it'll be exciting. Hopefully this can be a turning point for them.
Yeah, for sure.
So, guys, let us know what you think. New England Revolution getting out of this slump by winning versus New York City FC. Do you think that this is going to lead them into a playoff charge? Will they overtake the Montreal Impact? Let us know in the comments below. Moving on, we're going to be talking New York City FC again. This time they're playing DC United at the end of the week. A game that ended 1-1, an important game for both New York City FC and DC United. DC United still, again, another one of those teams chasing that playoff spot, still trying to compete with Montreal Impact to take that sixth spot. Again, a game where New York City FC was dominating for the majority of the beginning of the game. DC United gets a goal against the run of play, similarly to how New England Revolution, a free kick from basically half comes in from Wayne Rooney. Steve Birnbaum gets at the end of it, scores a goal, puts DC United up.
Let me just say, not to harp on goalies again, but Hamid, oh my gosh, that guy was on one. You know, I love watching a good goalie play, and he really made that position look like an art form.
Yeah, man, I think both keepers had really good games for the majority of it. And I think it was kind of cruel at the end. David Villa scored an amazing free kick to tie it for New York City FC at the end of the game. But I think it was super cruel on Hamid, who had a fantastic game. I mean, he just let up that free kick. I think it was more on David Villa just being a spectacular player and scoring kind of one of those superstar-like goals. Hamid didn't really deserve that scoreline.
And when DC scored, I remember seeing it, and it was kind of interesting. It was a ball, a long ball, and it was like a flick-on header. Yeah. Straight up looked like a rugby play. Like some guy like hoisted him up, and he like just flicked it back right over the goalie. Oh, kind of dope. And
speaking on that DC United goal, a lot of New York City FC fans and Sean Johnson, New York City FC's goalkeeper, actually thought that he got fouled on that play coming in. They thought that Birnbaum actually touched him on his way up to score that goal, but in reality, replay showed that he really didn't get touched, so it was a little bit of embellishment.
Total embellishment. Great goal.
Yeah, I mean, just trying to find an excuse for letting it out. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think that his goalkeeping there was terrible. I think that a keeper in that position should probably get the ball, but Birnbaum did a really good job of getting his head on it and scoring the goal. And finally, touch on David Villa, a guy who scored that amazing free kick. He's actually now 22nd all-time MLS goal scorer, which is kind of crazy because in my mind, I don't think of him as being in the league for a long time. Although he has been. It's kind of really spectacular on him to be so high up on a goal-scoring list for not really being here that long.
Yeah, and it shows that, you know, he's still got it, and he's still pumping him out. Like, way to go, man. Like, that is what you want to see. You don't want to see some guy do a couple seasons and not really do much. But 22nd he's climbing that ladder, man.
For sure. He's definitely showing his world-class status playing the way he's playing. So, guys, despite the draw, which team do you think deserved all 3 points, or was the draw justified? Let us know in the comments below. Next game on the list, Portland Timbers versus Colorado Rapids. A game Portland won 2-0. A pretty exciting game from the very start. A game where Portland scored 2 offside goals in the very beginning. Ibobasi and Valeri both ended up scoring offside goals. Got called off. They didn't get the goals there. But then they actually those same 2 guys ended up scoring in the same order, Ibobasi and Valeri, to put Portland up 2-0 for real.
And Valeri, the second goal, it was a crazy zinger of a cross. And it just straight up, dude, it bounced off that guy's head. Like, that thing was going at some pace. I saw it going to the back of the net. I was like, dude, he must have had a little bit of a headache after that one, because there was no way no normal man would have not had a headache.
Yeah, I wonder if he got checked for a concussion protocol after that one. I mean, yeah, it almost seemed like a shot. Like, it was so powerful that it was kind of crazy to see that it was a header that actually went in like that. And Valeri, who's kind of been Mr. Consistent for Portland, he's, I think now, over 3 years being double-digit scorer for Portland. Valeri, a guy who's won MLS MVP, still proving to be a baller of sorts.
That's what I'm saying. And quick shout-out to Portland, their jerseys, man. beautiful.
Although Colorado is not mathematically on their way out, I think we all know they're not going to be making it into the playoffs. So wanted to ask you, what do you guys think Colorado needs to do in the offseason to improve their team and make them a contender for the MLS Cup next year? Let us know in the comments below. Moving on, B, we're going to be covering Sporting KC versus Orlando, a game that was exciting. Dom Dora coming back home, playing against his old team.
And Kansas City's goalie, straight up, denying his former teammate 2 opportunities, point blank, straight up stood on his head.
Yeah, I mean, it was both phenomenal goalkeeping and kind of Dom Dora kind of choking a little bit in front of the net. I mean, you have 2 opportunities. You got to put at least one of them away. But you do have to give the goalkeeper credit. One-on-one situations, he proved to be worth the money.
So, Sporting Kansas City's former top goal scorer up until March, Felipe Gutierrez, came back against Orlando City, fresh off of surgery or recovering, scores a goal.
Yeah, that's nice to see. He came off of a sports hernia surgery.
Yeah.
I mean, you never want to see players injured, but it's nice to see him come back and already be making an immediate impact for Sporting KC.
Yeah, huge strides on his part. I know sometimes when you have an injury, it takes a while to get back into your groove, but
not Felipe.
Yeah, not Felipe.
So, guys, let us know. Should Dom Dwyer and Sasha Clisson, Orlando City's 2 DP players, be producing more to get Orlando City higher on the table, or should Orlando City's backroom staff have done more to get a better team out there on the field and compete for hardware? Let us know in the comments below. And finally, guys, because this weekend was pretty short on MLS games due to the international friendly, we're going to be covering a little bit of U.S. men's national team. They ended up playing a big game versus Brazil, a game that Brazil won 2-0. But, I mean, so many different talking points for this game. We'll start off with the fact that USA, although not getting a victory, played with the team very, very young guys. And it's not the result you want to see, but you get a lot of experience in these big games with these young guys.
Huge experience gained. You got to also put into account the fact that Brazil went to the World Cup. USA did not go to the World Cup. So them playing as a unit already had that World Cup vibe and everything. They knew what they were doing. And not to say that the USA hasn't been playing together, but being on that world stage definitely has an impact. But, you know, despite the scoreline, I think the United States had a great game. That's why I got the jersey on today.
Yeah, no, for sure. And this is piggybacking off a game that they actually ended up tying with France. Sure, they're friendlies and they don't actually have any significance, but for players that are super young to be able to play against the Neymars, the Thiago Silvas, these big name players, it's really important to get that experience under their belt. Equally important to mention is that a lot of these young guys were MLS players. They're not guys that are playing overseas. They're guys that are coming from MLS teams, which is also always super, super exciting to see that the MLS is producing this talent directly.
Yeah, and, you know, we love to see that homegrown kind of talent. One
young guy who really definitely learned a lot was Robinson playing left back going against Douglas Costa. He got ate up back there, man. It's like every single time Douglas Costa touched the ball, he was getting past Robinson. Robinson, who's a really fast guy, was just getting beat.
Yeah, it's crazy to know both the pace of both those players, and normally it wouldn't seem like it would be too off, but oh my gosh, dude, it just looked like straight out of a cartoon.
Yeah,
like just zooming past him.
Oh, like the Flash. And I think if they were both in just a foot race, they would be pretty equal. But Douglas Costa's ability to shift speed was something that Robinson was definitely not able to match up with. And Robinson is the guy who actually closed down Mbappe in the USA's friendly versus France. So definitely a wake-up call for him in seeing that these world-class players, at any moment, they're a threat.
And they're just so very different, too. There's all different types of these amazing players, and you got to learn to play them all.
Yeah, and Douglas Costa, who actually beat Robinson to get the cross-in for the first Brazil goal to Firmino.
Yeah. Shout out to Liverpool.
Thumbs down for Liverpool. Thumbs down this video if you hate Liverpool.
Speaking of another Liverpool guy, Fabinho getting a penalty. Do I think it was a penalty? No.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people on the same page as you did not think that Fabinho penalty was a penalty. There wasn't VAR in this game to decide that, but definitely did not look like he really got touched all that much.
What do you guys think? PK? No PK? USA, all the way.
And finally, probably the biggest talking point out of this game didn't really have anything to do with the game. If you were watching,
what most news agencies were talking about.
Yeah, for sure. And if you were watching the game, you definitely saw this moment. DeAndre Yedlin, after Neymar goes down for a foul, comes up to the ref and asks him, did you watch the World Cup? Kind of insinuating that Neymar was diving for the foul. Afterwards, Neymar obviously got asked about this, and he and I'm gonna read, kind of paraphrasing. He goes, "I don't know who this guy is, and I don't know why he's talking about me." What do you think DeAndre Yedlin thinks about Neymar's comments? Do you think Neymar actually doesn't know who DeAndre Yedlin is? Is that even a possibility?
Honestly, dude, I feel like Neymar doesn't know who he is. Like, that's just Neymar. And Yedlin, although it was comical, I mean, like, that World Cup's over, man. Like, doesn't matter, like, what you say. Like, the ref watched the World Cup. Of course he did. Like, that's just a silly question to ask. And then you're going to get all these kids asking refs questions like that.
Yeah, and Yedlin was kind of being made fun of online. Like, yeah, the ref definitely watched World Cup, but so did you, Yedlin, because you were at home watching the game.
No, I didn't even think of that.
But yeah, I definitely think that's true. Like, there's no way Neymar necessarily knows who DeAndre Yedlin is. I mean, he's this guy who's played for DeAndre Yedlin, a guy who's been playing for Newcastle, a team that isn't really all that famous in the Premier League globally. So I don't see how Neymar would necessarily know who he is.
Nah, man.
One guy who did play really well for the U.S. was Matt Miazga, a guy who's currently playing for Nantes in France. Shout out rhyming.
Yeah.
He had a really good game though, going up against the likes of Neymar, Firmino, Douglas Costa. Did a really good job. Matt Miazga, a guy who's only 23 years old. He's actually on loan from Chelsea. Guys, let us know what you think. Do you think Matt Miazga has any chance to break into the Chelsea first team? Does he hold the key to U.S. men's national team's back line in the future? Is he the future of our defense? Let us know in the comments below. But definitely shout out to all the young MLS guys out there representing the country for the U.S. men's national team. Although not the result they wanted, I'm sure that they're getting a ton of experience, and it'll pay off in going to the World Cup in the next 4 years.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to see where this team's going to go.
So as always, guys, if you liked the episode, leave us that big thumbs up in the video below. Right next to it, click that subscribe button. It lets us know that you're enjoying the content and that we'll keep producing stuff for your guys' entertainment. Make sure that you're leaving your comments below so that we can feature you guys in next week's episode. Leave comments on any of the questions we had and or any other thing that you want to mention on. Maybe you don't like B's jersey. Maybe you don't like my t-shirt. Let us know and we'll put it up in next week's episode. The MLS is coming into their final stretch of the season, so be sure to tune in next week to keep up with the latest action happening. And we'll catch you guys next week. Peace.